Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 2 p.m. on Saturday in Queensland, Australia. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Thank you so much for joining us.
Tonight's guest is Derek Wallentinsen. We'll be back in 8.3 seconds.
Help us welcome Derek Wallentinsen. Derek continues a lifelong journey reaching for the stars. Growing up toward the dark dome of New Mexico skies, he started sharing his love of the sky early with his family and friends using his home-built telescope in backyards in Albuquerque, then astronomy club star parties, followed by STEM teaching, astronomy, physics, chemistry, math, that kind of thing.
He earned his Master's of Science degree in Astrophysics and took a detour into the corporate world. While living in Los Angeles, he worked for Celestron, a major telescope manufacturer, for the pro-amateur market. Sorry, and participated in many of the company's outreach events. A further move to the dark side began with volunteering in the National Park Service / National Science Foundation Astro VIP outreach program as a dark ranger.
He later served as an interpretive ranger at national parks, diving deeper into the night with many opportunities to talk with people from all places and walks of life about both day and night skies and their preservation. Throughout his NPS experience, he helped NPS parks and rangers preserve threatened dark skies through the International Dark Sky Places program of the International Dark Sky Association, also known as IDA.
Now astronomer in residence at Petrified Forest National Park and involved with NSF Associated Universities, Inc. astronomy programs. He wants to continue inspiring everyone to keep looking up at the stars and to preserve the dark skies here on Earth.
That is quite a list, Derek, and we want to know who you are and what you do. I understand you have a bit of a presentation for us as well. That sounds wonderful. First thing, though, I want to know about your interesting signatures like cielo claros y oscuros. What does that mean, Derek? And hi, Anthony. Thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate that.
Well, thanks for welcoming on the show, Pam and Jeff. And indeed, well, what that is that means skies clear and dark. So it's a benediction. And of course, I was supposed to go down to Chile earlier this year with one of the programs that you briefly mentioned in my introduction. And it's a National Science Foundation program called the Astronomers in Chile Educator Ambassadors Program. So blowing up a little bit on my Spanish.
It's Spanish, okay.
Yeah, there you go. And just, I live in New Mexico too, so it's kind of like dusting it off a little bit. So that just simply is a translation of that. I hope it's not too rough, but that's what it means. Skies clear and dark, and may you have those where you are.
And, well, that's awesome, and I love those. It's kind of like, hey, what does that mean? It gets me curious. So where do you want to start? You have quite a list.
Well, we could, of course, I originally suggested talking about how plants are discovered, but I realized that there are lots of different things we could talk about. So, of course, one of my favorite topics is the preservation of the dark night sky.
And you're always welcome back as our guest. We'll talk about that.
Sure, thank you. And so, of course, most of the human race now lives in these big aggregations called cities. And just a few generations ago, the balance was tipped the other way, and most people lived in a rural environment. And I think that, of course, you're in Thousand Oaks, California, and I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So here we are in two of those urban aggregations. And I think we've been fairly fortunate. We've traveled to dark places and seen the Milky Way, but there are a lot of people who haven't.
Right.
So in the National Park Service, just as one example, I was working at Bandelier a number of years ago, Bandelier National Monument in New Mexico, and we had a program at night involving walking in the main canyon and showing people how the ancestral Puebloans might have enjoyed the night sky after darkness fell with candlelight and torches. So kind of a recreation there. One of the visitors came up afterwards and said, I'm just astounded here. In Belgium, we don't have skies like this. I'd never seen what you call the Milky Way. So I kind of looked over at my fellow ranger. He looked over at me, and we smiled at each other and we said, wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. We're happy to have shared the Milky Way with you for the first time. So it's that kind of thing that makes it both exciting to do what I do, but also kind of sad in a way that so many people can't enjoy the dark night sky. And
You know, for as close as we are to Los Angeles, our national park out here, it's the Santa Monica Mountains. We can see on a decent night, we can see the Milky Way. And if you take a picture, it turns out even better. You know, the light gathering capabilities of a camera is a little different. You know, we have a couple of comments. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. Yeah, we saw Daniel. Hi. Yeah, I like that too, Dark Ranger. Hello, Jeannie Becker.
Yep.
And AC. So very cool. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We really appreciate that.
So actually, I'm putting up on my screen just what it looks like from Bandelier. I hope we can see that.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, there. So that is.
We had it. There we go.
There, I'm sorry. There we go. So that is what it looks like from the main visitor center. Really, this is taken very close to that. So you see the Milky Way. Is my mouse showing there? Is that
yes,
showing the screen? So that's the Milky Way running up and down there. That's our galaxy. So this is our galactic home. Over here is the planet Mars. And it's fairly dark there. We had just a little bit of haze, I think, over there toward the left-hand side, but a very nice night from Bandelier. So that's a typical view from down in the canyons there. And
that's with the camera. Does it look anything remotely like that when you see it with your eye, or is it a little different?
It does pretty much look like that. You don't get some of the colors that you would, especially in the Milky Way, with your unaided eye, but you do see the cloudy effect of the Milky Way, the milk.
Got it. I'm with Jamie.
Yeah, you do definitely see that. So Bandelier is not an international dark sky park at this time. They're still working on it. I did some work on it while I was there. However, I'm happy to say that several other parks that I have worked at have become international dark sky parks, and I'll be glad to explain what that's all about too, if you'd like.
Yeah, please do. I know something about it, but I don't know a lot about it. In fact, one of the fellows came to our astronomy club in Ohio many, many years ago, and he said, I used to be an astronomer, now I'm an evangelist. Oh, hey, Cliff. Okay. Thanks for joining us. Cloudy in Queensland, Australia. Sorry, man. Somebody bought another telescope, right?
Okay, well, the International Dark Sky Association actually goes back, I believe, to the late 1970s when an astronomer in Tucson, Arizona, by the name of David Crawford, decided that he could kind of see the way things were going, and he realized in Arizona itself, which had major observatories, Kitt Peak, and they had just finished a telescope at Mount Graham, which became the multi-mirror telescope, and they were building all these big telescopes there, but they were realizing that the cities in Arizona were causing problems for their professional astronomers. In Southern California, Palomar Observatory had already had problems, and Mount Wilson, east of Los Angeles as well. So he decided to form the International Dark Sky Association and try to put primarily scientific impetus behind the whole idea of light pollution. All right. And so he did that for a number of years. And I remember reading about it in probably a Sky and Telescope magazine. This was way before the internet, so that's how news got around. And I thought, well, this is pretty interesting. My brother and I were already interested in astronomy, and we'd been getting involved in local politics too. So we decided on our own to write a light pollution ordinance for the city of Albuquerque.
No kidding. Wow.
So we did that. Our candidate won the race, and so we presented that ordinance to him. Unfortunately, it was not passed, but it had a lot of the hallmarks of lighting ordinances since then, and is the kind of thing that the International Dark Sky Association is involved in today. And really, changing light pollution is very easy compared to all other kinds of pollution. So we have, of course, air pollution and water pollution. Those are very difficult to deal with, okay? But light pollution is just flicking a switch or screwing in the right kind of light bulb. It really is.
Right.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Or at most.
Yeah. There's no cleanup involved in light pollution. Once you stop doing it, it's gone.
Yeah, and sometimes it
Right.
can be really dangerous. I've driven on the highway, and lights from either these rows of car dealerships or remember Irvine Spectrum, the mall. It's just so blinding, and I've seen both of those particular places I have in mind fix their lighting. It's been fabulous.
Yeah, so that's great. So that's what's called light trespass. And
Yep.
indeed, those lights, they shouldn't be in your eyes. You should be down on the ground illuminating those cars or illuminating that business. Furthermore, color of light matters as well. So color, we're diurnal animals. Humans are really diurnal animals. That means we live a day-night cycle. So we associate blue light with daytime because the sky is blue during the day. And those blue wavelengths are what get us jazzed up. We think it's daytime. And other animals are the same way. And modern lights, since the invention of the mercury vapor light after World War II, are blue. And those are the worst kind of lights. Furthermore, blue wavelengths scatter more in the atmosphere. All right. And so if you can get the light on the ground, you're putting it in the right place, if you get it the right color, it's not scattering around, it's not messing around with biological cycles. It doesn't have to be overwhelmingly bright. This is something else. Most tasks at night are not surgery or watch repair. You just don't need that kind of light.
So how about the high sodium vapor? Weren't they really orange? I remember very orange lights, and those were kind of the worst for astronomy.
Those came on, and actually the early advocates like David Crawford, aforementioned, he said, well, we could change to those one wavelength, monochromatic, one color lights, and we could do that, and that way astronomers could use filters and the problem would be solved, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, sort of and sort of not. So what you're doing there is you're making a ghetto out of one wavelength, and not only that, your eye does not respond well to one color of light trying to see stuff. So you have those lights, everything looks weird, it's unnatural, and you don't react the same to it.
Yeah.
So that really didn't turn out to be a very good idea. You still see those lights around, but they're not the best idea. Just to make one totally pure wavelength of light.
Yeah. I know someone who accidentally bought a pink car at night because he thought it was yellow.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And
so,
we've got some comments here.
We got a lot of comments.
Yeah.
Did you get Daniels?
No, I'll get him.
Okay. All right.
But this
let's just catch up with comments.
Hi, David. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. David's talking about dark skies, I'm pretty sure, because of his follow-up here throughout 2011. was invited to head a number of tours to Lake Topeka, New Zealand, South Island. The skies were close to Portal 1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And Daniel saw the Andromeda galaxy from near Santa Monica Mountains.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. The mountains do a pretty good job of cutting off the LA nebula.
Well, and we've got over Santa Monica, we've got the ocean, so there's no lights coming from there. We've got kind of LA on one side, Port Hueneme on the other. We got this nice column north and south at our site, and in the summertime, we've got the nice Milky Way light right up in that column. So I see some other ones there. Yeah. Let's catch up with the comments.
Any light pollution from Santa Fe?
Did we lose
Derek?
Derek says his connection is Wi-Fi only. There we are. Derek, you froze for a minute.
Okay, yes, I did. I'm sorry about that.
Right after I showed this. Yeah.
Okay, so let me. I'll be glad to respond to some of the comments. So first of all, the Bortle scale. So let me bring up an image that I have, and this will also help answer one of the other questions that I saw. And so I have got a.
I thought you were ready. Let me know when you're ready. I'll share it.
Okay. Are you seeing that?
I can see it. You want me to add that to the screen?
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead. It's a map.
Right. Yes.
You got that?
Looks like a light pollution map.
Exactly. So you're already familiar with the general idea. So these are contours, just like a topographical map. These rings and areas, and the darker colors and the grayer colors are the darker areas on the Earth's surface. This is based on satellite imagery. So this shows the area around where I live. So there's Albuquerque down here, South Center. Up here is Santa Fe. And indeed, Bandelier, which is one of the commenters had a question about Bandelier, is right there. This strange little duck-shaped outline. Okay. So Bortle Class 1 really means pretty much a natural sky. There's no lights, no light pollution.
Okay.
And that would be black. So unfortunately, in this particular view, you don't see any black. So the best you see is a gray area, like over here to the toward the right-hand side of the screen where I'm wiggling the mouse. Then you see that's Bortle Class 2, and then 3 is a lighter gray, and 4. Then you get into the blue shades. They are where you begin to notice, hey, the Milky Way is not quite so great, and but I can still see it. So Bandelier kind of straddles that, and this little white dot, that's Los Alamos. Oh. Then you have green shades, they're brighter still, and then you get into the areas of the orange and red, and then another shade of pinkish gray. And those are kind of the nuclear zones.
Just forget about it.
Yeah, though I will say from Albuquerque, usually from the backyard here, I can still see some of the Milky Way as long as I'm not directly looking at street light, even from my backyard in Albuquerque.
Wow.
So
nice.
There's that. And then I have another map. Let's see here.
So over the ocean would be that black color, wouldn't it?
Yeah, over the ocean is great. So going back to your area of the world, of course, I lived there for about 15 years down on the Palos Verdes Peninsula. You know where that is, right? So toward the city and down toward Orange County, looking east and southeast, forget about it. It was pretty bad. But anytime I looked over the ocean, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was able to see comets and stuff over the ocean numerous times.
Yeah.
There, even though you would think from the city I didn't have a chance to see those things.
Right.
So here's a blow up. Are you still sharing my screen here? Showing 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is Bandelier again. So here shows the progression across one small area. If it's near a city, which is Los Alamos, which has a lot of security lights there. Because of the the defense facilities there. Mm-hmm. And so they have very little light pollution control, which is unfortunate because you'd think there are a lot of smart scientists there that they would just apply their sense and, hey, it doesn't diminish security to have the light down on the ground. In fact, it helps security because if you have
Yeah,
guards there or drones or cameras, they can actually do their job better because they don't have that glare that you were
right.
mentioning, Pam. So here
Yeah,
we see Bortle class 5, 6, 7, 8 as we get in towards Los Alamos, which is right there. Santa
yeah.
Fe would be off over here to the right-hand side of the screen.
So we've been gathering some comments. Are you ready for more?
I am ready for more.
Okay, Cliff, as they see a huge Milky Way down in Oz. I guess when the clouds aren't in the way.
Yes, yes. So this is one of my favorite storytelling techniques. Well, I remember the day back in the day down in Oz, as a matter of fact, in 2010, went to the
Oh,
Outback, and indeed it was supremely dark there. I was somewhere. I'm trying to remember the name of the park, but it wasn't really deep in the Outback, but it was dark there, and it had a little camper mobile. I turned off the lights in the camper mobile, and then I proceeded to set up my small telescope, do observing for several hours. It was completely dark, but I could see
wow.
everything. I could see the ground just with starlight.
Yeah,
Okay, and then
1991, we got to go to the Baja Peninsula to see the total solar eclipse there, and it was
yeah, yep,
super, super dark. It was amazing.
yeah. So Australia, by and large, because of its low population density and the cities are all concentrated on the coast, the interior is very, very dark, and so that's the darkest place that I've ever experienced on land
Wow.
is in Oz. So, Cliff, kudos to you, and hopefully you can preserve those skies there and make the big cities just as dark.
He's just had too much rain lately. I just love this next question from Dan. Is there a dark sky group for non-visible spectrum as well? That's a great question.
Okay, I know a little bit less about that, but actually there are protocols for various wavelengths having to do with primarily things like radio frequencies are allotted for aircraft or um, commercial broadcasts or nowadays satellite communications. Okay, so that's one thing that is allotted. Um, that's the one that I know best about. There are certain other wavelengths that have other regulations, but
Yeah.
uh, probably radio and visible light wavelengths are the most, if you will, policed or of concern.
Mhm.
No one's really talking about X-ray pollution
And
at this
infrared
point,
doesn't get
or
through. Infrared
too
doesn't
much
get
about
through our atmosphere very much. That's why we sent the
it
James Webb.
doesn't.
Yeah, that's
Right,
why we sent the
exactly.
James Webb way out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or microwave. Again, you need high altitude, very dry places like down in Chile
Okay.
to detect those wavelengths. So yeah,
And
that's. I hope that
Dan
answers that question.
Dan is a ham radio operator, so he would know about uh, the radio bands.
Mhm. Yeah.
You ready for more? Here we go.
Ready for more?
David,
Yeah.
now I run a business called Norfolk Island Stargazing, holding regular astronomy tours throughout the year. As a tourist island just off the Aussie coast. Okay.
Yeah. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I see
Yes.
him running the ads on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Sponsored and promoted by the Norfolk Island Tourism Board. Yeah, I would imagine. We have Bortle 1 skies, and the difference from the mainland is amazing. I would imagine. Yeah.
I think it's the weather that usually gets David.
Yeah.
And this is something that's come up in my lifetime as well. I remember being a kid and going back again. There was Sky and Telescope magazine. You'd open it up. There were ads for telescope companies that aren't around anymore, like Cave and Criterion.
Mhm.
And then there was a company called Edmund Scientific. Yeah, they're still around.
Yeah,
And
not like they used to be though.
yeah, not quite the same, but
Oh,
there were all these companies and stuff, and you had to realize that most of them were selling war surplus stuff or pretty much home built, limited production run
oh,
stuff. Probably the total dollar value of all that stuff, including the magazine, I'm guessing was less than $1 million. I mean, they could not have been making much money.
mm,
Nowadays, astronomy is a multi-billion dollar business worldwide. And working in the National Park Service during the last 10 years, I realized how many people just come to the parks to try and see a dark sky, or they have a telescope in their camper, or plan vacations trying to do something with astronomy. So it's not
Yeah.
just a few geeks. It's penetrated more of the mainstream now, and a lot of parks are adding astronomy programs to the
Nice.
typical thing where it might be Revolutionary War or about the fish there or about the geology or whatever. They're adding astronomy into that interpretive repertoire, and that's where I got going with the Park Service doing astronomy programs, and
Yeah,
so it's a big thing.
they do a
So
couple times a year out here. When things close down, it slowed down a bunch, but we're pretty close to. Maybe you know about this Paramount Ranch. They've set up there. They've set up at the Santa Monica Mountains place. Um, yeah, let's get to some more comments for you. Scott, thanks for being here. Really appreciate that. Yeah, the background's yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is just it's just a shower curtain.
yeah, this is a fakey wakey background. It's a blanket, but it has a nice pattern on it.
Yeah.
And you can see it's a kind of a duplicate universe. I think the pattern is repeated here, and if I go in the right direction, over here.
I still love it. It's really cool.
Imaginary planets, but it's cool. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely look depressing. We see mostly LED lights out here now. I don't know what it's like where you are, Derek.
Well, most cities now have the bright blue LEDs. So
Yeah.
what's happened in our lifetimes, if you're around my age or maybe slightly younger, is we've seen a succession of technologies. So we had incandescent bulbs right after World War II. That's about the time I was born. Yeah, I'm dating myself a little bit. And then we had mercury vapor lights. Okay, more lumens per watt, more lights per watt. But did they crank down the amount of light? No, they kept the same amount of watts. Then we had, after that, we had things like high pressure mercury lights, and then high pressure sodium and low pressure sodium. Now, LEDs that have the most lumens per watt of any of these technologies, about 100 times, well, not quite that much, but 20 to 100 times as much as the incandescent, the
They're terribly
Edison
bright.
wire type bulbs.
And
And they
annoying.
haven't cranked down the watts. So
No.
they'll replace,
At least
you
they're
know,
directional. The LEDs kind of have a
well,
direction, but they don't
they're
put
getting to
them.
that. Yeah, but it's not quite there. So you've obviously caught on to that. So there's this whole thing. It's called Javon's principle. It's actually, people have noticed this and they've slapped the law onto it. So they replaced the lighting technology, but instead of saying keeping the same amount of light, they jack up the lumens, keeping the same amount of watts.
So you're not saving
So
it.
that's something that we should be, even if we weren't concerned about light pollution, we should be concerned about saving energy and like questioning, well, why do I need more light when I could just have the same amount of energy, the same amount of light with lower energy consumption?
Well,
Okay.
and then there's technology whereby if there's motion, when you want to know what's going on, the light can come on.
Exactly. Then there's also timers,
Yeah.
which, okay, well, if your business closes at a certain hour, maybe you don't need all the light in your business. You might want a few of the lights, but you don't need every one. So you turn those off.
I love the
Same
football
thing.
fields that are lit up for all night when the game has been long over, and they're just horrible. They're just horrible.
High schools are bad about that here.
Yeah.
Now, one of the most impressive lights demonstrations I've ever seen was at the a place called Suarito, Arizona. It's south of Tucson. There's a soccer field there, all right? And soccer fields are like football fields at night. They're horribly overlit in general, but this was the state of the art. So the engineers who put this together, they designed the lights. They're LED lights, by the way. And I got lost on the roads driving out there. I was supposed to meet out there for a barbecue the International Dark Sky Association was holding to show off these lights. So I got lost. And I thought, well, it's a soccer field, right? I just look for a glow in the sky. I'm going to find it, right? Wrong. So I
Really?
kept looking around. I finally got my GPS out. I found I was on the wrong road, turned down the right way. And I had to get to within half a mile before I could see a dim glow. And then I actually didn't see lights until literally I stepped within like 10 feet of the boundary of the soccer field.
Nice.
That's how
Wow.
directional they were. Yeah, it was very, very impressive.
Nice. Very nice.
Well, that's
So that's
news.
what can be done. Okay, that's what
Yeah.
can be done.
Yeah, and
Um,
the ordinance near the what is that, Flagstaff, in Flagstaff, what's the name of the
Lowell Observatory.
yeah, Lowell, that's the one.
Yeah.
They actually have laws that in that surrounding area the lights have to be particular ways. I don't know exactly all the details, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we have more comments to catch up with, but I could go back
Oh yeah,
to,
we have a
to
lot.
Flagstaff here in just a minute. Okay, we're getting lots of comments.
HC's talking about Bandelier again.
Okay, yes, Bandelier does have night programs during the summer,
Oh,
and check on their schedule to see if they have any this season. But before the pandemic, they had night sky programs and nighttime programs in the main canyon too. So check on that if you want to go there during the night as well as during the day.
so is this a fan of yours? Marcy says Derek is a wonderful astronomy teacher.
Yes, she's spread the word per what you're saying, Pam, and
Oh,
and
that
she's
reminds
tuning in. Yes, she's tuning in. Hi there, Marcy.
we gotta
Thanks
tell
for tuning
people
in.
about your YouTube channel, and I went and subscribed and I doubled your subscribers. Come
All
on,
right, we're
folks,
good.
take a look at these videos. I will put this in the chat as well as a clickable link, and you will see some really cool demonstrations. And you know what? I think it's not even just for you to learn some stuff, but if you want to share it, I think there's some really good ways that Derek talks about how to understand things. So yeah, let me grab that and add it to the chat for you.
And while she's doing that, David comes in. I believe in many parts of the world, LED technology is now the norm for new street lighting, and when upgrades are carried out from existing street lights. Yeah, it's just because it's mandated, not because it's going to save you any energy. Because they're like Derek said, they're brighter.
Well, LEDs
So-
do have less. They use less electricity.
Right,
Generally,
but
yeah.
They can.
They can, yeah.
So let me go back to the Flagstaff key point that was raised earlier. So International Dark Sky Places, IDSP for short in the light pollution lingo, those are places that are designated by the International Dark Sky Association that have made special efforts to preserve the night sky and to tell people about it. And part of that in places like Flagstaff, which is a International Dark Sky City, first one, Flagstaff, is having a lighting ordinance that specifies the kind of lights and limits that, the lighting to what's warranted, what we talked about earlier, the right brightness, the right color, it's on at the right time, it's only where it's needed. All those things are part of that.
That's wonderful.
And so that's part of the International Dark Sky Places program. And so it's not just a national park like Bandelier is trying to be, or Dinosaur, which is, or Arches. It's cities like Flagstaff can achieve this. And who's heard of Pittsburgh?
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh
There's a dark sky
actually,
nation.
Pittsburgh just passed a major lighting ordinance, and they may become some kind of dark sky city in the future because of that.
Yeah,
So it can be done. Again, it's just a matter of the right light bulb, screwing the light bulb in, or
Yep.
flicking the switch, or replacing a fixture that's outmoded anyway.
Yeah, there's the first dark sky nation too. It's in the middle of the ocean. It's just island.
Yeah, that's right. One of the islands. I forget the name of it.
Nui? Do you know
Uh,
Nui? Is that how you say it? Nui? It's like
Nuaru, I think it is. Nuaru.
Okay,
I think you're right.
I've never heard it pronounced. So yeah, thank you.
I apologize. I didn't know off the tip of my tongue. You're right.
That's okay.
I believe that's
okay.
correct.
Yeah. David says it's an opportunity.
Yep.
They just don't seem to be doing it. But yeah,
No.
It's
because
slowly percolating out there.
yeah.
Boy, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
What is D2 Talks? Yeah, well, check out the YouTube channel. I put the link for that, and I've been adding the other links too, Derek. International Dark Sky Places, the IDA. You got a couple more here. I forgot the one for Chile. I'll put that one in later too.
Yeah.
I think I'll add them all at once at some
Sure,
point.
and I just retired, so undoubtedly I'll be talking more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marcy comes back.
Retired last year.
Yeah, okay. Marcy says, I once spent time with him, and I presume that means you, Derek, in a dark
Yes.
sky park, and he showed me the Milky Way and taught me many constellations. Very cool. Yay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm sorry.
Well, Cliff says in Oz, and we'll have to, let's see. And
That's from about 10 minutes ago,
Right,
10
yeah.
15 minutes ago. So.
I did go, and he comes back with, I did go to a dark sky talk in Corone near Pomona. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead with Daniel. Let's try and catch up.
Okay. I'm definitely planning to add dark sky policy advocacy to my 2022 Thousand Oaks City Council campaign.
All right.
Nice.
Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Marcy again, ditto on voting. Yep.
Oh, interesting. LEDs do not make hams happy. They put out lots of radio frequency interference. Got it. Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I didn't
the
know that
circuitry.
either.
Yeah.
I know
didn't
that.
think there was anything to pulse, but I guess maybe just some frequencies that are scattered. I don't know enough about it to know. I'd have to.
I know the certain fluorescent lights, especially the old school ones with the long bulbs, have what's called ballast in there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they take a relatively high voltage, and to get that high voltage, they've got transformers,
Right.
and
Yep.
some of those are not well shielded, and they can give out radio frequency interference. But I didn't really realize that was a problem with some LED fixtures.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah,
So good to know.
didn't know
Yeah,
either.
that's interesting.
Maybe it's transformers in them, because
Oh,
The little boards, the diodes, I don't know exactly the circuitry involved.
yeah, right.
David says many years ago there was a 20-minute blackout in New York City. Teachers the next morning reported kids saying that they saw stars in the skies for the first time in their lives. Yeah.
That's terribly sad. It's our legacy. I mean, it's our birthright. Well, I didn't know this about Janie. When we were visiting Lightning Ridge, Australia Open Mines in 2001, we could see so far. We saw the curve of the Earth amazingly clear. This is a great topic with a fantastic astronomer. Thank you, Janie, and we're really grateful to have Derek with us. All right, and I think we caught us up.
No.
Oh,
There's lots of comments.
they're just showing up for me. Okay, get it?
I just didn't want to interrupt. So, AC, do the laser pointers are used by many observatories for adaptive optics help with any light pollution?
Oh.
I don't-
Okay, well, I can talk about that. That really doesn't impact any way light pollution, either pro or con. It's a technique astronomers use to make an artificial star high in the atmosphere so they can adjust the optics, typically with telescopes that have different segmented mirrors or something,
Right.
to sharpen the image. Now, it's true if you're standing right in the observatory area, you would see beams go up into the sky, similar to what an astronomer might use at a night sky program in a national park with a laser pointer beaming up. Or I'll bet you, Pam, and Jeff, you probably use those at your star parties.
Yeah, I haven't
so-
done it because I don't know what the regulations are. I think there's some new thing about now with like the airplanes, and I've avoided. I have seen other astronomy folks use them, but I've
Yeah, it's
avoided
within
it.
2 miles of an airport, but I can appreciate your
Yeah.
your
Well, we've got
paranoia on that.
We've got 3 or 4
Yeah.
airports, depending on how small you want to get near us. So getting
Mhm.
anywhere near the horizon is like illegal with a laser pointer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful. I've been lucky. I do it at national parks. Usually there's no
Mhm.
air
Oh.
traffic nearby, but I try not to point at a jet. Or any. So if I see one up, even though I'm told by pilots, I've talked to several pilots, say, "Oh, we're at 30,000 feet. That's nothing." Okay, if it's a legal 5 milliwatt, and the power of the laser is important, If it's a legal 5 milliwatt, then they're really no concern at 30,000 feet. But if they're 500 feet above the ground or within a mile or something, then yeah, if you're shining that at the plane, that's going to dazzle the pilot. That's no good.
It's very useful to know.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you. And Janie says she has subscribed. Yes. So now it's triple.
Derek,
Oh, looks like Daniel has. I knew we could help you out. We're going to get you more subscribers.
Derek, do you use your physics knowledge in your astronomy pursuits?
Well, absolutely. Physics and astronomy are pretty much like this.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about the thing, the James Webb Space Telescope. Well, that's really, of course, it's a telescope. Of course, it's seeing distant galaxies. Those are things people recognize as having to do with astronomy. But how does it work? Okay, well, it works because it's observing a part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Whoa, that's a big kind of physics technobabble, right? For a longer wavelength of light that we can't perceive with our eyes, and indeed from the ground we can't see it from space. And so they're hand in glove, really. One feeds the other, and cosmology is perhaps the ultimate out there thing, and it's very, it's very esoteric, very physical, and not even so much astronomical, but it's all physical and astronomical. They really are tied together. It's hard to do one without the other.
Yep.
So everybody's telling us that they have now subscribed to your channel.
Okay, all right.
That's fine.
I have to send a check to you guys.
No, that's fine. We love helping other groups. That's good.
All right, yes, likewise.
Oh, so the power supplies. Okay.
That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah.
Okay. But
So yeah, Daniel.
I think that's the radio source. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Because there's transformers in the power supply.
Yes. Right. And Daniel comes back with the LEDs are one-way diodes that only put out light when they are forward biased. Yes. So AC is used to not overheat them. But they correct for that. So it's a DC item.
But the AC basically causes them to flash. But just too fast. Too fast for us to see, I think.
You can correct for that still.
Right. But I think that they're pulsing them so that they don't overheat.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a digital SLR camera that's sophisticated enough and you're taking like a movie with that or something, you might get black parts of that movie if it's not synced right.
Oh.
And so you actually have to go into the menu of the camera. I've messed around enough with these cameras to realize that, to sync out. So it'll sync and try and avoid that banding or dropouts where some frames are dark and some frames are light because they're driven at the 60 hertz or 60 cycles per second or 50. Some parts of the world are 50. It might be 50 in Australia. I don't know. But
I'm not sure.
Because of that, and I think that's maybe LEDs are dealing with that. And that's the circuitry that's causing the radio frequency interference.
Yeah. And you can actually see that effect by just using a digital video camera and looking at car headlights, the modern car headlights, because you'll see them flash.
Huh.
Okay.
I've seen it. Okay. And Cliff I saw the curve of the Earth from the lookout at Siding Springs Observatory. Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm happy to say that I have been there, so I might talk about that a little bit far afield from what we were going on, but you don't get to talk to an astronomer every day, I guess. So here we go. So the curvature of the Earth, if you, of course, if you're at sea level, looking out to sea level, basically you see a big circle around you, it looks flat. But if you get high enough up above something that is otherwise a flat surface, so a mountain above a plane or flying an aircraft above the ocean, something like that, then you get high enough, 4 or 5 miles, or maybe even less under optimum circumstances. I think Siding Springs is, I'm guessing, about 5,000 feet. I've been up there, but I can't remember the altitude.
Oh, so that's a mountain. Okay.
Yeah, it's a mountain in Australia. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's got the biggest observatory down in Australia is on there.
Oh.
And,
very cool. And you've been there, Cliff. That's neat.
Yeah, and I happen to have been there too. In 2010, that same trip I did the Outback.
Oh, very cool.
But more typically, you're higher up. So I've seen the curvature of the Earth more frequently from a high-flying airplane. So if you're in a jet airplane that and it's clear and you're careful and look out the window, you might detect it. Or if you're like me and hike and you're on a mountaintop at sunset, a high mountaintop, or you're in Hawaii and you're on the volcano on the Big Island, which is very high, 9,000 to 13,000 feet, depending where you're on it.
Wow.
Then the shadow of the Earth itself, you can see the curvature of that as it rises in the east at sunset. That's showing the curvature of the Earth too. Or in the morning, same thing before dawn. That's going to show the high shadow of the Earth high in the atmosphere. And it's going to show it as a curved line too.
So Daniel says, yeah, I've seen this effect. You kind of like, especially to me at night, following cars with the LEDs, especially when they first came out, you kind of go like this, and they what do we call that? They trail. They have trails. Not a fan of that. And AC says it's the switching power supplies, the pulse for LEDs, still just DC. Yep, just pulsed on and off to allow for more light output and reduce power usage. Yeah.
Okay. We've got some experts here.
I love this crowd. Everybody's got a little different piece of the picture, and we all help each other out. Yeah, it's great. So, Derek, was there anything else you wanted to share with us tonight? This has been wonderful.
Well, let's see. I'm just kind of going through a couple of the things here.
Okay.
One thing that you do in these dark sky parks is you go out, and we can talk about this probably in a future program, and measure the light. Okay, so do you see that picture there?
Yeah.
Okay, this happens to be at Petrified Forest National Park about 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And so you hike out there, and this is a time exposure taken by a colleague of mine. In the rocks at night, we backpacked out into the backcountry at Petrified, and I brought my meter. It's a standardized meter that's available from a Canadian company, and it's used worldwide by people who are interested in preserving dark skies to get standardized measurements of how dark is it really. Okay, so you point that to the sky in a certain manner, and you get the reading off of that, and it tells you how dark your sky is. So there I am actually measuring it. The moon happens to be up, that's why you can see me in that picture very well. So it's not a great night to do it.
It looks like a daytime
yeah,
image.
but we thought we would just do it because we were out there, and I carried the meter out because it's fairly remote location, so I decided to take a reading. But that's what you have to do to become one of those international dark sky places. And indeed, if you look in the documentation that's submitted to the International Dark Sky Association to become one of them, these measurements are in there. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
So how long does it take for a location to go through this process? How much paperwork is there? Talk to us about some of that kind of stuff. That's just like...
Well, I might outline the park that I worked for a number of years, Dinosaur National Monument, and actually I'm preparing a presentation on how they did it, how I did it, kind of my recollection. So it started in 2013. I went there, and one of my managers at the park said, we want this park to become a dark sky park. Can you help us? I said, yeah, that's why I'm here. And so I did as a volunteer that year, and then volunteer the next year, and the next year I was a ranger at a second park, and then I came back the fourth year to Dinosaur. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 more years, 6 years it took for them to become a dark sky park.
Wow, 6.
So we had to, in brief, document every light in the park, document outreach we were doing, astronomy programs and stuff like that. Give light pollution maps like I showed earlier, demonstrate they were doing the measurements, take the measurements of the sky. And also, we got a grant to replace lights, okay? So we got some money to replace lights in the park too. So we wrote all that up, submitted it to the International Dark Sky Association, and then 2 years later we got it. We had to undergo a complicated process because of the National Environmental Policy Act in the United States. That means you got to get approval from several state boards as well as the IDA on the way to the process. So because Dinosaur is located in Colorado and Utah, double your pleasure, double your fun. Two state governments to deal with.
Goodness.
And so that took longer. So it took about 6 years for Dinosaur to do it.
So maybe not the average for...
Not the average. I think it's a little on the long side. A small town or a private park probably do it much more quickly.
Got it. Well, some more comments have come in.
Yeah.
Daniel, seeing the curvature of the Earth is a great do-it-yourself overview effect.
Yeah,
Indeed it is.
Sometimes I've talked about going and looking at a geosynchronous orbiting satellite and watching the stars stream by, because of course it's in the same location, so you can point your telescope at it and just watch it. It doesn't change like all the other things do, but you look through it and you're like, whoa, you get a real sense of the
little bit of vertigo there.
A little bit, yeah. And Daniel goes, Pulse DC is pretty close cousin to AC. All right, Cliff, I think it was Sighting Springs in 2010 for their open day and had a large scope for the star party. And I first met Dave. All right, Dave. Yeah, Cliff and Dave are friends in Australia. They actually came here in 2017 for the total solar eclipse, and their person here fell through, had a family emergency. Dave reached out to me on Meetup and says, "Can you help us?" I said, "Yes."
Awesome. International outreach, the difference.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool.
We spent 3 days with them, brought them from LAX to out here, and then took them back when they took the rest of their... They were here. They went through the United States in about a month. And Dave actually was the tour guide for the eclipse.
For a group, yeah.
Yeah, was it Dave? Was it Oregon? If he's still here.
No.
Was it? I think it was somewhere like that.
I thought it was more closer to the center of the country.
Maybe Dave will tell us. Let's see. Then AC goes, LA and San Diego have practically made Palomar useless. That is unfortunate. Maybe the light pollution issue, though, can be fixed and resolve that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
What is the contrast ratio of the human eye compared to the average film camera?
Good question.
Whoa.
I have no idea.
Yeah, not a clue.
Well, I think they're different. Like the camera can continue to gather light, but the eye is kind of an instantaneous view. So I'm not even sure you can compare that kind of thing, can you? Or
well, I mean, from what I know is, a digital camera has a lot, I have tens of thousands of different levels that it can adjust to, right? However, in a single glance, the eye, because of the programming up here, can get out a lot more than one picture can, typically. So if you enter a room that's got a bright bulb and shadows, typically you can see something near the bright bulb and in the shadows at the same time, whereas if I just take a picture with my camera of it by itself, unless I do a lot of special processing with that camera's image, then I won't get that. So maybe that's what he's talking about. Latitude is, I think, how it's usually expressed. But there again, there are cameras that do that inside now to a greater extent, called high dynamic range or HDR processing. So if you have a recent model camera, you might have that feature, and you can play around with it and kind of compare it to what you see with your eye.
I noticed that very much with the total solar eclipse, because when you look at it, you can see lots of different things going on, but the pictures only seem to catch.
Exactly. So the 2017 eclipse, actually one of my YouTube videos is the 2017 eclipse. I vowed to myself, I have cameras running, I'm going to walk away from the cameras during the totality and go to the telescope, take the filter off. I did that.
Yep.
I'm really happy I did that, because I've never seen in any picture the kind of detail in the corona that I saw through a 70 millimeter refractor at 50 power through that telescope.
Wow.
Never. Okay,
Very
so
cool.
your eye still has an advantage that way. An individual picture might pull out some other details that you might not be able to see with your eye, but in total, the visceral visual experience,
Mhm.
I mean, don't miss that if you're at a solar eclipse. Just wait till it
Yep.
starts. That
Totally
diamond ring
agree.
disappears, and take that filter off and take a look through that telescope.
Totally
Walk
agree. And
away from those cameras.
my first one was in '91 in Baja California, and it was 7 minutes long. Boy, does that spoil you!
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it spoils you very
2017
much.
was only 2 minutes long. So
Right? Yeah.
we had
You
to be on
know,
top of it.
do you know how long it'll be in 2024?
It's about 4 minutes.
Oh, that's a little better. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So AC, the Borrego Desert in SoCal is still somewhat dark enough to have seen auroras several years ago. That's really far south too. And Cliff says Yellowstone. He was at Yellowstone.
Yellowstone's where they saw the eclipse.
Oh, Yellowstone. Thank
Okay.
you,
Yeah.
Cliff.
That makes sense. Wyoming. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. SLS Tower.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, as part of their tour, they got
Yeah.
to stand on the SLS
Oh
tower.
yeah, they went all over the country.
And then
Can't wait for
can't
launch.
wait for
Yeah, that's happening soon. The first test run, right?
well, soon. Eventually.
I think it'll happen. We'll see. And Brigida, thanks for joining us.
And Daniel,
Where are the stars of the NASA photos? Okay.
They're right here. I mean,
Yeah.
Look, I put them on my blanket.
Oh, there's a new one from Cliff. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Total eclipse was fantastic. Yes, very weird. Yeah. All right. So we're going to continue to watch the comments. Derek, you're absolutely welcome to come back anytime. And we kind of chatted about if there's a segment you want to do for us periodically, somewhat regularly, something.
Okay, sure.
I do have a bunch of links here. Let me go ahead and share the whole list in the chat for everyone. We do a couple other things on our show. But just, did you want to say anything else? Wrap it up here?
Oh, well, yes, I'll be happy to come back to your show, Pam and Jeff, and appreciate you having me. Yes, I would love to talk more about the national parks and where you can see stuff there, planets, how to find them, astronomy in Chile, especially after I come back from there. I would love to have another chance to interact with you and your viewers. It sounds like a lot of fun to me.
All right. Thanks, Cliff and Daniel. So let's see. Next part is... Oh, yeah. I'm going to skip that tonight. Go ahead. You finish that.
Okay. Stellar events this week. Not a lot. August 26th through September 2nd. August 27th is the new moon, and Mercury is at its greatest eastern elongation. See it very low in the west as the sun sets.
Very low this time.
Yeah. August 29th, Mercury and the moon are in conjunction. And September 2nd, Friday night show, Citizen Science Project. Join us Fridays at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the Everyday Spacer Facebook page and the Everyday Spacer YouTube channel.
So we have some other events and activities we want to tell you about. Last week, we had Joaquin, who came as our first student guest. He mentioned several competitions for students, and we actually found that link. It is societyforscience.org. We're going to delve into this a little more deeply and find out when those dates are, when you can enter them. And I think they're pretty much worldwide. I think most of them are for students, but I did see something that if you wanted to judge, so maybe that's good for adults too. Space Prize has...
Oh, hang on one moment.
Oh.
The link to the AC.
Oh no. Okay, let me grab that for you.
Probably had a word count limit on there, so
right.
But we'll post those in just a little bit.
Yeah, I'll get them in a second.
And Janie, I think y'all have a wonderful weekend.
You too, Janie.
And y'all, have you thought about becoming a JPL Solar System ambassador, Derek?
Oh.
Yes, I'm sure I will. I retired from the Park Service last year, and I'm actually getting more heavily involved in a lot of different things, so probably will be one, as well as the Eclipse Ambassador. That's another opportunity that I'm pursuing, so I'm sure it'll happen.
So
it's just a matter of getting organized.
Sorry about that. I dropped a link in for the Space Prize has a speaker series, and that's just a YouTube link, so I put it in the chat. Also, Space Education Symposium, let me get that one for you, is going to be doing their event on November 12th. That's hosted by the Human Space Program. Human Space Program is Frank White's group.
Okay, yeah. Marcy says that the links didn't work either. Please resend. Now, they might not be clickable in here. You might have to copy and paste them into the browser.
No, I think because I gathered them all together, that's the problem, Marcy. I will go ahead and add them individually. I think that one worked.
Yeah.
All right, so the Space Apps Challenge is October 1st and 2nd. This is a NASA annual event. And just so you know a little bit about it, Space Apps inspires local communities to come together, think intensely, and create solutions to important problems. Each year, Space Apps engages thousands of individuals in cities around the world. This is worldwide, with NASA's open source data in a 48-hour sprint. Teams of technologists, scientists, designers, entrepreneurs, artists, and others collaborate to answer some of the most pressing challenges on Earth and in space. And I definitely think that would be, oops, let me get that one. There it is. For you. And I think that's, we're almost there. Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, just first off, Daniel, Eclipse Ambassador, new one.
Oh, sorry. So, that was me.
So there. Okay.
Just trying to turn it off.
If you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, or astronomy, we'd love to share our live. Join us again next Friday, September 2nd, where I talk about cloud spotting on Mars. This time I checked, and it's still going.
It's still going.
And it's only at 1%. They've added workflow to it, so it's likely still going to be there in a week. September 9th, looks like another student guest, Lydia Denton.
And she was actually with Joaquin for the Science School 9 event. All right, so let me drop those links in a little bit better for you for the, all right, so here's the astronomy in Chile. Is that how they say it there, Derek? Do they say Chile?
Chile.
They do, yeah, that's what I've heard them, how they pronounce it.
Okay. All right, so I'm just gathering them up together here. Anything else, Derek?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head again, except thank you.
Uh,
Alrighty, and
I enjoyed doing this. And
oh, great! We really enjoyed having you here with us. Oh, why didn't it go?
Yeah,
oh, we've got a comment too.
Oh.
I think that's a totally unrelated topic.
That's a spam. Yeah.
And it looks like it might be. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Stellarium. I've heard a lot about Stellarium. I haven't really used it very much.
Yeah, it's a freeware planetarium program. You can also control your telescope with it. And, you know, one of the topics that I had suggested was about finding planets. And there's something in that program, a plugin that you can enable, and that makes it kind of fun to use that planetarium program with the idea of exoplanets.
Yeah, some folks have told me they've used it for getting graphics for their, for content, like I think it was Dave Dickinson talked about for his book.
Oh yes, Bob King and David Dickinson, Sky Telescope. Yes, they've used them for star charts. You can customize it. It's freeware. So if you play around with the interface enough, you can, pick the background. I've used it for constellation figures. They have some stock ones in there. So yeah, it's very very useful. Highly recommended. And again, it's free. It's a free program.
Yeah, Dave has been a guest on our show. Actually, I think I'm going to have him come back when he works on his next book. David,
excellent.
David, we have shown everything we've seen.
Yeah, everything that we've seen, we've shown. If we're not getting things, there's some, and we've had this issue before. I think with some people, is that not all of them get to us. So sorry about that, Dave.
Well, it's just like I dropped out there for about 15 seconds. So maybe that's it's happening to his comments as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, Dave, if you want to add them back in, we'll do our best to share with everyone. And it's been a really terrific night for the audience. Thank you so much for being here. We've had the most people ever. So Derek, there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Two
thanks
thumbs
so
up for all of us.
Yeah.
for drift scan. What is drift scan radio astronomy, AC?
Yeah.
I've never
We
heard of
need to
that.
have AC on there to explain all these radio
Yeah.
astronomy
Yeah,
concepts
maybe.
to
Okay,
us.
AC, you're going to be a guest, right? Yes, we absolutely love your comments, Dave. Really, really appreciate. And Dave has extensive background in all of this, so
Yeah.
it's really wonderful. And he asks very good questions too. All right,
He
we're gonna keep watching for those. Derek, hang around a second, and thanks so much, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
I think unless Dave comes back. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. All right. Okay. 21 centimeters. Okay, I was wondering what that was. We missed one of Cliff's comments too. What the heck?
Yeah.
I can't. I don't. All I can say is I don't know what happened. We do our very best. Everything we've seen, unless it's a really rude comment, we don't share those. And we had one who was just talking about some completely unrelated stuff.
It looked like word salad.
Yeah, it was just words. Yeah. Sounds like a future show. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to do our outro, and we will see you next week.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.